Good afternoon, audience and esteemed moderator. We are here today to debate the proposition the federal government of Canada should repeal any legislation prohibiting hate speech. Now, I want to thank you all for showing up today, especially under all of these circumstances. We are forced to be able to think of other means to be able to deliver this debate. Now, I wanted to start by saying that in the study of economics, there is the idea of competition. Competition has driven unprecedented material progress since the Industrial Revolution. Through competition, society can achieve greatness because they are constantly thinking about innovation. If competition is removed, society's progress would be hampered. If we look at freedom of speech from this perspective, it becomes clear that competition is being repressed. This is done through hate speech legislation, where this has caused a society that is limiting people from freely expressing themselves, which then limits their divulgence, which therefore can have massive implications on the progress of society. Having the ability to speak one's mind without government intervention has its benefits. Rather than repressing these people, we could learn to analyze them and their cause. Without free speech, we as a society are limiting innovation in the market of ideas. As history has taught us, authorities that had previously limited freedom of speech include the church, which has since been discredited by scientific thought. The implications of their limiting of freedom of speech are still evident today, as Galileo's condemnation by the church has recently been revoked in 1992. It becomes evident that limiting freedom of speech causes lapses in logical thinking and reasoning. With freedom of speech, we can learn from others and improve society in a way that is considerate of many perspectives. Freedom of speech legislation removes the equity that each and every single citizen is entitled to under the Canadian Constitution. The Canadian Constitution says everybody should have the freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication. As Canada is favoring the legislation for limiting freedom of speech, we can see the beginnings of a repressive society similar to the regimes of China and North Korea. It is the left that appeals to the common man, which in society there are more of them than those that are considered upper class. Through appealing via collective communist means and the limiting of freedom of speech, we are developing a nation that is censored. One such example is when a man took his dog to the veterinarian. He then wrote a negative review on the application Yelp. The man took his dog to the veterinarian and then posted the negative review. The clinic that provided this service then sued him because his opinion was not favorable. Is this a society that we want? Are we so lost that we allow our feelings to supersede logic and free thought? Who is to stop the government if she so desires to censor society? Who is the victim here? The victim here is society and her citizens, as the limiting of freedom of speech would cause people to be in fear of their life. Places like China prevent people from actually being able to speak their mind, and in this they censor freedom of speech. The people have become oppressed under a regime who's built on communist philosophy. It is what has transpired in China that is so difficult to revoke, as communism appeals to the majority of the people. Through the censorship of freedom of speech, voices can be silenced. If we do not fight for freedom of speech, we can very well see the demise of Western liberty, justice, and democracy. The judicial system is built on adversarial principles. Through the limiting of freedom of speech, the system would be broken, as people won't be able to say what it is that is truly causing them fear or truly causing them problem. This is as a result of fear, which limits their equity.